Hi everyone, this is Becca from Becca's Music Room. I'm a teacher blogger who talks all about teaching tips, teacher life, teacher entrepreneurship, and anything else that might make your life just a little bit easier. Today I'm going to be talking about the 8 things that are on my Teachers Pay Teachers checklist, and I always make sure that I do to every single product that I make. If you're interested in having a hard copy of this, I'm going to be putting one in my free resource library, which you can access through the link below. If you have not subscribed to my email list, then you will have to put in your email in order to get the password for my free resource library. But once you get it, then you are in it for life and you can download every single thing that's in there. I only send out 2 emails a month, so I promise I won't bug you too much. And I try to include something free in every other email so that you get more stuff, because, you know, who's going to open an email if they don't get something out of it? So if you're interested in having a physical checklist, then you can check that out through the link below. Otherwise, you can just listen, and if you want, you could just write it on a sheet of paper, although it won't look quite as pretty. If you find this video helpful, please make sure that you like, subscribe, or share so that people can also find it helpful and figure out what they need to do in their Teachers Pay Teachers stuff. One reason I'm adding this video to my library is because I had very little idea what I was supposed to do when I first started Teachers Pay Teachers. Now, I did my research. It's not like I just, was like, oh, I'm gonna open a shop and I'm just gonna throw some things in there. No. I did my research. I looked for videos. I looked for things online, but I didn't find as much as I had hoped to. What I was kind of comparing it to is when I started my blog a year ago. I had so many different articles and videos about people talking about, how to start a blog, what's the best way to start a blog, how to do this and that and everything. And there just hasn't been quite as many things that I have found for Teachers Pay Teachers. So I thought, well, why don't I make some? Now, I'm still pretty new to Teachers Pay Teachers. These are all things that I have found in other people's products as well as my own, and I really feel like just make things a little bit more professional, and also are things that I have to remember to do. All right, so the very first thing, if you are doing a PowerPoint or worksheets or something like that, I would highly suggest having some kind of cover on your product that just says, like, Lucy Lockett PowerPoint, or Brown Bear Rhythms, or something that just says what your product is. I know that's not like the biggest deal ever. Please don't click out of the video yet, but it is just a really great way to start, even if it's just the title and like one little graphic, but it does make a little bit of a difference and it looks much more professional. So when people open it up, it just looks a little better. Now, if you are selling like clip art or something like that, then you don't need to worry about that or include it, but just keep it on your brain if you're thinking about doing something like worksheets and they're all related in some way. The second thing is very important, and it's called your terms of use page. This is something that I always saw before I started Teachers Pay Teachers, but I had no clue what it meant. But basically it just means that you write down, these are okay things to do and these are not okay things to do with my intellectual property. So everything that's posted on Teachers Pay Teachers is your intellectual property, and you don't want people stealing that in any way. So one big thing that I've seen in a lot is if you are doing something like worksheets, when someone buys something from Teachers Pay Teachers, it is for one teacher. If they're buying it for the whole school, then they need to have multiple licenses. And that's now an option, and there's all sorts of different things Teachers Pay Teachers is doing with that. But just, that's something that you definitely want to say is, please don't share this with other teachers. Use it for your kids, but don't print it for the whole school. That's the number one. If you are doing something like clip art or graphics or something like that, then make sure you put in there whether it's okay or not for people to use your clip art in commercial things. So if you don't know, if you are purchasing or downloading free clip art or digital paper or fonts, then you have to be allowed to use that for commercial use. A lot of fonts and digital paper and things like that can only be used for personal use, which means I can make a PowerPoint and use it in my classroom, but I can't sell it unless I'm allowed to use it for commercial use. So make sure that if you are making clip art or something like that, that you put in there whether it's okay to have people sell it in a product or in a PowerPoint or in a worksheet or something like that. If you're doing just like worksheets and things like that, then you really just need to say something along the lines of, please just use this for your classroom and not everybody in the world's classrooms. Fonts and graphics. So not just like, oh, I have to have these fonts, but you have to give credit to whoever made the fonts or made the graphics or made the digital paper. So make sure that you put in there like, this is where this font is from. This is where this digital paper is from. All of those things. And usually if a person is really professional, their terms of use page will already talk about what that needs to look like in regards to their stuff. Third thing, and actually what I like to use, is to combine my fonts and graphics, and also this page is the following page or the more products like this page. So you're trying to sell people things, let's just face it, you're trying to sell people things. So you want them to be able to follow you on social media, join your email list, and buy other things. So you can put in there a page that says all your social media links so that people can click on there and join you on Instagram, or put on there, or put on there other products that are similar to that one that people might want, because they might see that after they've printed it out and be like, oh man, that sounds cool, and then go back and buy it. So make sure you add those things. Again, I don't do related products, I just do the follow me, and I do like the follow me and all my links, and then underneath it I put all of the fonts and graphics and all that kind of stuff. The next things are kind of optional, and that is either having a table of contents or directions. This is something I really didn't think of the first time, but even though something might be clear to you, other people might not find it quite as easy to use your products. So having really clear directions about how to use a certain thing makes a huge difference. You can also add a table of contents. I usually only use a table of contents if I have a lot of different stuff in my products, but I will usually put directions in there. And in my directions, I'll say things like, then you can use the coloring page on slide 26. And so people still know where it is, and it kind of acts like a table of contents and directions at the same time. The next thing you need to remember to do is to put your name on all of your papers. Yes, just like you tell your kids, put your name on your paper. So if you look at most of the really good Teachers Pay Teachers people, and you download one of their products, in the bottom it'll say their name and usually the year and maybe their website or maybe a copyright symbol or something like that at the bottom, and that just makes it so that other people can't pass off your work as theirs. So I do this in the bottom of my slides or in the bottom of my PDF pages, and I just do like an 8 font, so it's really tiny, and I just write my name, the year, and then my website, so that people will hopefully see that and go to my website if they're interested in learning more. But also, people can't now go put that onto Teachers Pay Teachers themselves because it has my name on it. So just like you tell your kids, put your name on your paper. The next thing that I always have to remember to do, that you need to remember to do, is to lock your PowerPoints or lock your PDFs. So you might have to Google how to do this depending on what program you're using and what computer you have, but you can't just put up a product that people can, type into and change. One of the biggest reasons for this is that you don't want people copying and pasting your work, but also if you have used any digital paper or clip art or fonts or anything like that, you can't allow people to copy and paste it somewhere else. They need to go buy it for themselves. And most of the people who make clip art and those kind of things will put that in their terms of use and say, make sure you lock your documents or make sure you flatten your PowerPoints so that people can't copy and paste out of there. It's part of their terms of use, and it's part of your terms of use too. You don't want people copying, pasting your work, and then again, trying to pass it off as their own. So make sure that you do that. You might have to Google how to do it, but it's really not too complicated once you figure it out. The last thing you need to do is to make graphics for your Teachers Pay Teachers products. So I always make at least 2, and usually only 2 because I'm kind of lazy. At least 2, and so the first one is the most important, and it is my square thumbnail. If you saw my video about what I learned in my first month of Teachers Pay Teachers, you'll know that I did not know at first that your thumbnails needed to be square, or that they needed to be, legible. So what I do now is I go onto a website called canva.com. It has a free and a paid version, but so far I've been getting along with all my blog graphics for a whole year, and I have not paid a dime. I've just been using the free version. And I go on there, and I actually use the Instagram, and I actually use the little button for the Instagram pictures because Instagram pictures are square. And then I put all my stuff in there to make sure that it's going to be a nice little cover. I like to make it match my products. So if a lot of times I'll use the same digital paper or the same clip art or something like that to make them match. Also, if you have a picture of the physical product like printed out, that is a wonderful thing to put on your cover photo. It does make a huge difference. You kind of want to make sure that your branding is pretty good. So make sure that like all your cover pictures look a little bit similar. If you look through all of mine, and I'll link my Teachers Pay Teachers down below so that you can go and just look. I mean, you could literally just look at all my squares and see what they look like. And even though the backgrounds change because again, I like to match it to my product, and my clip art changes, I use the same fonts in everyone, and then I always put a little strip of pink around the words. And that kind of makes it so that they all look like they are mine. And my blog graphics match that as well. They all have that strip of pink so that you can see like, oh yeah, that's mine. And I even sometimes see them like scrolling down Pinterest, and I don't even see what it is, but I'm like, oh, that must be mine because it looks like one of mine. So you want it branded, but you also want it to, be cute or not have all of them look exactly the same. But the biggest thing is make it square and make it so the font is large enough that people can read what it actually is. Because if they don't know, then it's not going to help you sell it. The other thing that I make is any graphics for social media. At the moment, I'm only making graphics for Pinterest. So I usually use the same thing that I used for my cover on my Pinterest graphics. Like you could look at my Pinterest graphic and my Teachers Pay Teachers cover, and they will look pretty much the same, except the Pinterest one will be rectangular and the Teachers Pay Teachers one is square. I do that on purpose, partially because then I don't have to come up with a whole new design, but also because then they look alike, so if you see it and maybe you've already seen the product, then you'll immediately know what it is because it looks the same. And again, I like it to match my product so that it just is a pretty clear reflection, but it also has that strip of pink and the same fonts on it so that you can see it's mine. And I put my logo down in the bottom of both of those as well. So those are the things that I make sure I do and put into all of my Teachers Pay Teachers products. If I left something out, please make sure that you let me know in the comments if there's anything you like to use or any questions as to why we might need 1 or 2 of those things. And again, if you want to get that free checklist, then click the link down below to get that. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share so that other people can see this video as well. And we can help other people get the word about what to do with Teachers Pay Teachers, because again, I was a little bit in the dark when I first started, and I bet that you were too. Have a wonderful week.